Hello, this is Anna Laura Brown, the host of the Autoimmune Rehab Podcast, where, as always, you can find and download and listen to all episodes, both old and new, and check out the show notes and links from myself and from our various guests at autoimmunerehab.com, or listen wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, etc., and more. Today's episode, I'm going to be talking with you about how to get 10,000 steps in your life, because this is actually what they say, the amount of steps that they say you need to do in order to lose weight. And it can be really challenging for people. So stay tuned for some of these tips and tricks and things that I've discovered on how to make that a reality. But before we get started, I want to share with you my sponsors for today's episode. First sponsor is my Meetup group that you can find by going to meetup.com or check out the link in the show notes entitled Self-Care and Autoimmune Healing for Women. In this group, I do a variety of different Zoom virtual events. So even though the meetup will say it's located in Salt Lake City, Utah, that is because all meetup events are attached to the location of the person who created the event and the meetup. And since I live in Salt Lake City, Utah, that's what it does. But since my events at this point are all virtual, I may occasionally from time to time do an in-person event, but pretty much everything's virtual at this point. You can join and participate from anywhere in the world. Examples of some of the meetups that we have had in the past and that are coming up include things such as a group meditation and journaling exercise, a class on essential oils for emotions, a class on how to remove detox and toxins from your life and detox, a discussion about autoimmune triumphs and challenges, and online game night, and many, many more. So I hope to hear from you and see you in that group. In the meantime, I'd also love to share with you my free 30-day self-care journal template that you can download at the link in the description below or from my main page of my website, or really any page on my website, rather, annalaurabrown.com. Okay, no further ado, let's get started with today's episode, talking about how to get 10,000 steps in per day. So like I alluded to in the beginning in the introduction, there has been a lot of different research studies that have come out and said that in order for you to be able to at least maintain and if not lose weight, you need to move at least 6,000 steps per day, and 10,000 is really the minimum for you to be able to lose weight. So how exactly do you make sure that you do that? Because they say that the average person really only gets 3,000 to 4,000 steps per day in, assuming that you're doing some light activity, that you're not just sitting all day long, that you're getting up and down and moving around, going outside for a little bit, maybe taking your dog on a walk, that kind of thing. Well, let me walk you through my routine as well as give you some tips and tricks about how to get that many steps in. So the first tip that I have for you, and this might be a little bit obvious, and some of you might think, oh, it's okay, I don't need to do that, is to get up and get moving and get a minimum of 30 minutes of exercise in the morning, first thing when you first wake up, or within the first hour of you getting up. And depending on what time you get up at and what time you start working at, that will impact it. So usually I get up between 5 and 6 a.m. and I start working between 7:30 and 8 a.m. And I work from home, so I don't have to worry about a commute. I just turn on my computer and start working. So on an average morning, that means that I am going to be starting my exercise by no later than 6 a.m. And now, granted, if I don't get up till 6 a.m., then maybe 6:30 a.m. But typically, I try to be up by 5:30. So by 6 a.m., I'm exercising. And for me, that includes a variety of different kinds of exercise in the morning. During the winter season, when I would go to the gym to go swimming, then a lot of times that's what the exercise would be. However, now that we're in the summer and I'm blessed to live in a community with condos and townhomes where I have an outdoor pool, the pool doesn't open till 8 a.m. So I actually have to move my swimming to the evening. But some of the other exercise I'll do in the morning will be things like taking my dog for a walk, doing some stretching, doing some walking in place and jumping up and down with a step that I have, also doing some exercise routines with my Nintendo Switch. And that's actually also one tip that I want to give you if you are struggling to get enough exercise in, and especially if you're homebound or you work from home or you don't have a gym membership, you don't want to buy one, that kind of thing. Is a lot of people affiliate the Nintendo Switch with playing things like Mario Brother games and things like that. And I have a few of those too, but I actually bought it as an exercise tool and I found it to be a great investment for that. A couple of the different games, if you will, that I have that are exercise things is I have the sports game, I have the personal trainer, I have the home fitness, I have the Let's Dance, and then the Zumba. And I think I listed them all. But anyhow, I have a bunch of different Nintendo Switch programs that are for exercise. And this has been really effective and really amazing. So I will do that for a full 30 minutes during in the morning, and it's been really really great. I also have actually the Ring Fit Adventure. I forgot to mention that one, and that's a really good one because it actually comes with an actual ring that you actually squish, and it has parts where you have to do jumping and running and squats and all kinds of things. Has been a little bit of a challenge for me with my knees, but it's something I've been able to do. So I do about 30 minutes of that exercise, and then I also have a stationary bike at home that I can use and a treadmill. And, if you don't have access to all these things, like I said, that especially may be where the Nintendo Switch can help, or there's a lot of exercise videos, yoga routines, things like that on YouTube that you can look up and participate in. But the point is, you want to do at least a 30-minute exercise in the morning. And then throughout the day, you want to take a break. And ideally, you want to stand up and do a little bit of walking around and stretching once an hour for about 5 minutes. And then you want to do some outdoor walking, exercising, moving for at least 20 minutes during your lunch break. And then you want to do it again at the end of the day when you finish working. And when I worked in an office building, the other thing I would do is I would get up probably about every 2 hours or so. I would take a break for about 10 minutes and I would walk up and down 3 to 4 levels of the stairs in order to move my exercise and to get in some more exercise. And that was a really good routine that got in some really good steps. So that's another way to do it. Another thing that you can also do is then again, I recommend you do a minimum of 30, if not 60 minutes of exercise in the evening. So for me right now, but typically what that looks like in the evening is it's going to be either swimming or I might go to the gym because I do still have my gym membership. I'm just not choosing to swim there right now, and go to like a Zumba class or a yoga class or something like that at the gym. And a couple things to keep in mind, yoga, because of its very nature of exercise, even though it's really good for you, you will probably only register 1,000 to 1,500 steps over the course of an hour. So you won't get in all those steps if you choose yoga as your exercise. So you want to do something a little bit more, active, that kind of thing. I have a hard time swimming for more than 30 minutes personally. So I haven't really measured what it's like and how many steps I'd get of swimming in an hour. But in 30 minutes of swimming, it's typically around 3,000 or maybe just under 3,000. So that one's also another one that doesn't produce a ton of steps for the time that you spend, but of course can be really, really good for you. And it's not always about the steps and the numbers, but the 6,000 to 10,000 does just give you a really good idea of what it takes to be able to move enough to be able to lose that weight, to stay healthy and maintain a good healthy weight. And so then the other thing that you can do is, like, if I go to an actual class and do Zumba for like a whole hour at the gym, which I actually did that once this week, that was about 7,000 steps over the course of an hour. So that was really a lot and really aggressive, and I need to do that more frequently. With my Nintendo Switch Zumba, I typically only go for 20 to 30 minutes and then stop, and the whole hour kind of put me a little bit too much knee pain for the next day or two. So I've got to try to start doing that more routinely. But that's a really good way to guarantee yourself 10,000 steps. I think I almost had 11,000 for the day by the time I was finished going to that class and some of the other movements that I'd done. And that was really the only exercise for the day I did, other than walking my dog and walking around the house and stretching and a few things like that. So that's a good tip for you. Then there are also some apps that can make it a little easier. A couple things you want to have for sure. One is a tracking app of some kind. Personally, I love and use the Oura Ring, which I actually did another podcast episode on that. So if you're curious about that, you can go back and look that up. There's also things like the Fitbit, the Apple Watch, all that kind of thing. But anyhow, you want to have some kind of tracker, and ideally you want to have a tracker that you wear on you that isn't just on your phone. because the reality is you'll probably do a lot of exercise where you don't hold your phone. So like I didn't hold my phone when I did the Zumba class. Sometimes I even go for walks and don't have the phone. Phone's not on me when I go swimming, that kind of thing. And then there are apps that also can give you exercises and things like that. Like one that my sister just recently started using that I'd heard about and probably plan to look into a little bit further, but haven't really used so much. It's called Couch to 5K. And so it basically takes you from lying on the couch, being a couch potato, if you will, and not being able to move as much and do as many things to being able to run a 5K and or walk a 5K even. And that's an app that I think is free. There's probably some premium features to it as well. Anyhow, I'm not super versed on the world of apps for exercises. I've really focused on, the gym and swimming and Nintendo Switch activities and walking, that kind of thing. But anyhow, hopefully these tips have helped you to be able to figure out how to get in those 10,000 steps per day. If you have any additional questions or want to talk with me, the link will be in the show notes. And take care. And I look forward to hearing from you soon on another episode of the Autoimmune Rehab Podcast.